though. The Reserve Bank is widely tipped to cut 25 basis points down to 3%. This is the OCR. Eyes, though, will be on the language around that cut and what it potentially signals in the coming months. Sharon Zollner is Chief Economist at ANZ and joins us live at the desk. Good morning.
Good morning.
So this has pretty much already been priced in, this one, hasn't it?
It has. The Reserve Bank was relatively clear in their communications that they were expecting to deliver a 25 basis point cut. So I think 23 out of 24 people are predicting it, so it would be a huge shock if they did anything else.
Question then is, what do they do after that?
Yeah, absolutely, they can move the market even if the decision is as anticipated. And there is a very wide range of views about how low interest rates need to go. We expect them to eventually fall to 2.5%, but we wouldn't expect the Reserve Bank to signal anything that strong today. Other people think this is it and should be it. So I think with the data we'll decide in the end, but what the Reserve Bank says today will definitely have an impact on markets.
Quite a variance there between the economist predictions going forward. They obviously don't want to go too low and then risk overcooking later, right? Because it takes 12 to 18 months for these changes that they make today to actually flow through.
Exactly. There's always a strong risk of overshooting in either direction, and some of the impact of the cutting they've already done is still going to come through in the second half of the year. But mixed messages are inevitable to some extent because there's some near-term upside risks to inflation. There's been a lot of talk about butter, but there's more than butter here. Yet the economy's not been performing as well as expected. You know, it seems to have fallen into a bit of a hole in the middle of the year. So how the Reserve Bank's going to weigh up those two things is going to be really interesting.
Their main job is inflation, though, right? And so long as there's uncertainty, I mean, so long as Trump, it's a bit more settled there, but so long as Trump is still threatening and the tariff thing is still happening, ours has just gone to 15%, so long as that stuff's still in the mix, would they not be more cautious?
Yes, well, their job is inflation, but it's not inflation in the next 3 months. It's inflation in 18 months to 2 years' time because of those lags that you just mentioned. So our view is that with the economy not quite performing as expected, the housing market's a real headwind for the economy, that they will pivot from being worried about those near-term inflation risks and the chance that those could become persistent through to worrying that actually inflation could undershoot down the track. But that's something that's a bit hard for people to get their heads around at this point with the cost of living so high.
For people watching this morning, everyone's just feeling this funk. You know, we were on the up and then we've had a blip. It's the middle of winter. We saw some promising manufacturing and services sector data out in the last week. Does that give you cause for optimism? Do you think we're getting over that blip?
The July data that's come in has been a little bit better. I would expect the tone of the data to improve because if you're looking at quarterly changes, the last 3 months are terrible. If you look at annual changes, we were in the middle of a recession a year ago. So because of those base effects, it's going to be quite difficult for the data to not improve from here. The weather's going to improve. The housing market always gets a spring lift. I think actually that the vibe will definitely improve. We're probably around the turning point at the moment.
Will we be happy by Christmas?
Christmas always makes people happy.
Very diplomatic answer. What about this idea? Because you've got Christian Hawkesby, who's obviously filling in at the moment at the Reserve Bank. Does the Reserve Bank, because when you've got a new boss coming in, you don't want to make drastic changes, you don't want to do anything wild, because then they're going to have to come in and potentially clean up your mess. They want to set their own direction. Do you think that that would make them more cautious? Well,
he's only one person on the committee, and indeed what we saw last time they cut was that one person really felt they shouldn't and actually dissented so strongly that they had a vote, which is they've only done that a very few times. Normally they aim to reach consensus, but at the end of the day the governor is also only one person, so it might affect how he's feeling about things, but there's 7 people on that committee.
Sharon, I'm getting you back at Christmas, and if I'm not happy, there'll be hell to pay. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank
Sharon
you.
Zollner, Chief Economist at ANZ.